You should get us up close, like doing that slurp thing, like.
The first question I have today is, what are your hobbies and why?
As an introvert, I find that most of my hobbies typically deal with expression, and I can't speak for all introverts, but my introverted friends, I would say that they probably feel the same. Lots of my hobbies include, I'll try to do artwork, like drawings. I'm not good at it, but I try. It's very relieving and relaxing. Also, I mean, this is pretty cliche, but just music. Whatever music matches my mood, whatever helps me express whatever I'm feeling in the moment. Despite needing my alone time, I also am a big people person and family person. So, after recharging myself, a lot of my hobbies revolve around doing stuff with my family or reaching out to a friend. Or do conversations count as hobbies? Because I love conversations.
Deep
so
conversations?
Much. Yes.
She could start her own podcast. It would be very interesting.
I want to.
I just want to delve a little bit deeper. Going into the arts, you act a lot.
Yes.
And in musicals, in regular plays, you're very expressive. You like to portray the characters the best way you can. It seems like you're an extrovert in these moments. And you really have that strong stage presence. But then when you are in this huge crowd, you just shut down, sort of.
That's actually really funny. I was in a rehearsal the other day, and I don't remember who said it, but someone was talking about how the introverts are always the ones who are shining on stage because that's their outlet. They're not great in crowds because they feel like maybe you're overwhelmed, but once you're on stage and you can sort of channel that energy into being another character, or you can channel that energy into expression, it's like a whole different world pretty much. Yeah, that's true. A lot of creative introverted friends of mine like to express themselves in some way or another.
So this is a very broad question, and I don't really expect you to know how everything works, but
I don't know anything.
I'll go through it.
Okay.
How do you use your cognitive functions as an INFJ? Introverted intuition is your first function, which means you perceive the world by looking inwardly and connecting the dots. I know this is a fact because you like to understand as much as you can in order to know the future outcome of something.
Yes, big thing.
Sometimes it stresses you, but at the same time, these intuitive hunches, you're very insightful and wise. You give good advice because you know how something will turn out.
Yeah, that's huge. It's really funny that you say that it's a stressor, because it totally is a stressor. But at the same time, if I don't have that planning motivation and I don't understand what's going to happen, or I'm asking people what's going to happen and they don't know and they can't tell me, it's just like anxiety through the roof. So I need to have the plans, even though they stress me out. In everything I do, I don't know where that need comes from. I need to have a plan. Even if that plan... A vision. Even if it doesn't follow through completely, which 98% of the time it doesn't, it still really calms my spirit if I have that plan in my head laid out.
Like a North Star of sorts in your life?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, because it's also a form of guidance, and I can learn from my past mistakes of, okay, this didn't work out in my plans, what can I do to fix it so that it does work out?
You're very goal-oriented. You're very ambitious, very perfectionistic almost, not in in a bad way. Very strategic in your approach to things, and you follow through with that. I can very much admire that.
Thank you.
Stable at all.
Do you think I'm stable?
You make it look like it.
No.
How strong are you attached to these desires, these visions of what you want to be?
I wouldn't necessarily use the word goal, because if I do set goals for myself, I'm not the person to write them down and make checklists and make them super specific, because I have tried that and then I disappoint myself when I can't meet those super specific goals. So if I do set goals, I try to make them very broad, try to make them very achievable. Like, I can see myself achieving it, and like I said, they're broad. I don't like to get down into the nitty-gritty details because
it's more abstract.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's what intuition is. So your second function is called Extraverted Feeling. Pretty obvious, because external other people's feelings, basically. You're always mirroring people, how they talk, how they act. If they're more quiet, you sort of embody that. Or if they're jokey, you become more jokey and carefree.
Yeah. The mirroring. First of all, when I thought about extroverted feeling, I thought you were talking about emotional, because I am so emotional. So we're shifting to my tendency to mirror people, which is so true. I just recently noticed that I started to do that. And yeah, the first thing that came to my mind when you mentioned that was judgment. I fear judgment so much. It's one of my biggest fear, like internal fears, that people are not going to like me for who I am, blah, blah, blah. So if I'm talking to someone who is super happy and excited and just very outgoing, I can sort of try to embody that, like you said. I don't think it comes solely from judgment. Like if I'm talking to someone who's sad and I'm trying to be an open ear to them and sort of give them advice, then and let's say I'm really excited about something, I have to tone down my energy level so that I can be eye to eye with them and I can be empathetic with them. And I always try to let them speak before I try to interfere with my own personal advice or stories. So in order to do that, I need to be eye to eye with them and sort of get my energy to the same as theirs.
So it's like a thermostat, like an emotional thermostat?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. That's an interesting way to put it.
Whenever you want to express your opinion of something, you make sure that you understand the depth of the context, like the logicalities behind it. You want to know exactly why you see that as true or false, or good or bad. You need to create some deep thought about it.
Yeah. Sometimes my first reaction, if I see something super controversial, by the way, I'm so opinionated, like it's kind of bad how opinionated I am, but if I see something super controversial, my immediate thought is usually, oh my gosh, that is so wrong and here are all the reasons why. But then I can feel myself sort of step back and say, okay, let me look for the logic. Depending on what the thing is, usually I dive deeper for the logic and I say, okay, let me form my own opinion. But sometimes if I get too involved in that and I feel like I need to belong to a specific group, I just get opinionated and I feel like that my opinion can't change. Whereas then once I take that step back and I re-examine myself, then I can be like, okay, let me really think about this and think about the logic behind it, like you said.
So your last function, the one you repress because it's counterintuitive to your main goal, which is introverted intuition, is extroverted sensing. Extroverted sensing is basically simplifying nature that's in front of you. Like everyone sees the stimulation in front of them and processes it, but extroverted sensors, they try to take that and instead of branching it off into multiple ideas or possibilities or thinking about the past and how it relates to the present, they think about it as it is and how it's in that context and what they can do with the information in that context. But you tend to not be that present. You're always in your head somewhere else.
Yes.
And that's your greatest weakness because sometimes you lack the enjoyment of the moment.
Yes, absolutely. 100% correct.
Expound.
In fact, I'm never in the moment, and it's something that I recently recognized that I really need to work on. If not, I'm going to miss out on everything. I'm just constantly thinking about all the stressors in my life or all the things that need to be planned. And let's say I'm out with a bunch of people trying to have a good time. I'm constantly thinking about all that stuff. I guess it could be a good or bad quality. You know, you're trying to plan and you're putting thought into whatever that thing is that you're trying to plan, but at the same time, people notice that you are not in the moment. I cannot count the number of times.
You're staring.
We're not getting into that. People notice when you are in a crowd and you're just not there, and people let me know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know I was doing that. It just happens. It's become so natural for me at this point. I would say it's definitely more of a weakness than a strength, although it could be looked at in both ways, so it's something that I need to work on within myself.
So, Carina, what is your enneagram type?
Okay, I don't know anything about the Enneagram, but last time I took the test, I was a 4-wing 3.
Yeah, and it's very much right. She's very creative, but at the same time, very competitive. You are a very action-oriented INFJ, meaning you don't just have all these ideals, but you actually want to create a vision where that's applicable.
Yeah.
You're not in dreamland. You actually want to go places and do things.
I try to go for them. Obviously, my ideas aren't always super realistic at the moment because my mind just goes and goes and goes. I try my best to go work towards those goals because otherwise I'm just going to be stuck in that constant thinking phase and disappoint myself.
Fours tend to want to be unique. They want to bring something new into the world, something creative. How does that translate to you?
I feel like I need to have something unique about me, otherwise I'm just a boring person that no one wants to get to. That's, I feel like, where my creativity may come from. I want to be different, I want to be unique in my own way so that people notice. When the reality is, as cliche as it sounds, people will like you for who you are and you don't have to do anything special to change that. You don't have to do anything unique to make yourself feel like, just be yourself. I'm dead serious though. Because, for example, I'm drawn to your traits. I mean, I know we're not polar opposites, but our traits are pretty opposite of each other. And that's why I feel like I can talk to you about a lot of things. Find an outlet. That is so important because we have so much thought and creativity and energy, and if you don't, and you know, since we are not the greatest in crowds, we're better with a one-on-one conversation or just those deeper environments. Find an outlet because you need to channel your energy somewhere. If you're mad or you're upset or you just need to express something, you need to have that one activity or thing or person you can go to always. Of course, you can have multiple. It might take forever to search for your thing, but search for it because I'm still searching for my main thing. And don't place your identity in feeling like you don't belong because you don't feel right in a crowd or something. Just find that outlet, find that thing, and find your crowd.
Be yourself so you find the right people. All right, thank you for watching. I'm so glad that I have you on this interview, Karina.
This was really fun.
Bye, guys.
Bye.